What is up, guys? Zan from the Zan Madden YouTube channel. You may recall several months back that 3-4 odd was the best defense in Madden 24. In fact, at the start of the year, B-gapping out of the 3-4 odd and being able to cover with our outside linebackers in coverage assignments out of the 3-4 odd was making it probably the best base defense in the game. It was winning a lot of tournaments for players such as Goose, and a lot of other pro players were starting to run it. And then EA kind of went into the 3-4 and put the stops on it by changing the way the linebackers work, making essentially the outside linebackers be considered defensive linemen, and the 3-4 odd went out the window for the rest of the year. Today's video here on the YouTube channel is going to break down a 4-3 odd formation, which essentially looks just like 3-4 odd with a little bit different tweaks to it. So let's go ahead and show you guys why I like this formation. I believe it is probably the best gap blitzing and edge blitzing base defense in the game, meaning that you've got 7 guys on the field that can basically count towards your read and react AI. So if you're struggling with somebody that runs the ball, you'll be able to get run shed animations automatically after they spam certain runs on you. This is a pretty great little defense that really comes at the quarterback really fast. You don't really have to do too much, and it has the meta A gap blitz set up out of the left A gap that a lot of players really covet. So let's go ahead and kind of talk about how I would set this up. With this particular defense, I think that you'll want to make sure that you have probably 5 lurk artists in your front 7. So what I would do is I would make sure that you have lurk artists at all 3 linebacker positions, which are the players that I'm highlighting and bouncing back and forth right now. Now on your front 4, however, you're going to have your defensive ends. You want to make sure that you guys put outside linebackers with the lurk artist ability at this position, and also this position right here, which kind of reminds you of a 3-4 defensive end. It's actually a defensive end in a 4-3. So you're going to get kind of that interior defensive lineman with the ability to drop off the line in coverage and get those animations. The other added benefit with this is that with this being such a good pressure defense, you guys can actually send a lot of pressure at your opponent. And if your opponent throws out a sack and somebody sheds, of course, we've got 5 of 7 players potentially here with the lurk artist ability. That means that 5 out of 7 players that are in your front can catch those throw out of sacks if they're getting off of a block shed. So pretty nice there as well. We're going to be setting up, let's just kind of focus on this being a Mabel coverage for now. Obviously, yesterday we talked about the reason the Patriots playbook, which is the book we're in here in this particular breakdown, has the best 4-3 even 6-1, and that it basically has 2-man under in Tampa 2, and no other 4-3 even 6-1 has that. That's a great calling card for this playbook. So I wanted to follow up today with the odd, and I think a lot of players kind of gloss over this defense as a whole. So if we kind of take a look at this formation here, if you hit left on your D-pad, you're going to see that these are your 4 defensive linemen. You'll see that our stand-up outside linebacker type player here on the far right, Josh Allen, he is considered the B lineman. When we bring up our linebackers, you see that X, Y, and A, those are your linebackers. Unlike the 3-4, in the 4-3 odd, the outside linebacker can be moved and he will not come all the way back in. So this is really good for basically coverage purposes. As you might imagine, sometimes you're going to want to play a Mabel coverage where, you know, you don't want this guy all the way in. Maybe they're in a spread trips look. Maybe the ball's on the far right hash and they got trips over to the left, and you don't want this guy standing here. You want him an extra step or 2 outside. This is great because you can move this guy out a couple steps, unlike the 3-4 odd. So that's a great calling card for this formation. Now, when you actually crash your defensive line in this particular defense, again, it's only going to affect your front 3 plus the right of screen linebacker. I'm calling him a linebacker because he's in a 2-point stance. He's basically just an edge play. Now, with this particular defense here, what you guys could do is blitz this guy, and this is kind of your A-gap rusher. If you guys want with this, a lot of times with this particular look, you're going to get your A-gap pressure. You see right there that with this delay route to the running back, they let him come in free for the running back to block. But a lot of times with this, if they're not having the running back stay in, this guy actually can come in quite easily through that A-gap, and you don't even really have to send 6 on this. You actually can drop, you know, this player into a curl flat. You can still play Mabel coverage. You can still put this guy in a purple over here. A lot of times with this particular defense, you will actually get that guy to come in through the A-gap. Bare minimum, he's going to concede ground if you just want to rush 4, and he's basically going to, you know, get off that shed really quickly. They let that guy get deep into the pass rush before that guard picks him up. Now, anytime you want, you obviously can just blitz this guy as well. And if you do that, now this is going to basically end up giving you A-gap pressure. They're going to let him come straight in through the middle, and you're right to the quarterback. Pretty easy stuff right there. You don't even really have to send, like I said, the linebacker off the right, which is really your defensive end. This guy, you could basically just send your front 5 or your front 4 up here, And then this guy is your extra depth blitzer. So this is a really, really good way to get A gap, B gap. Again, with this, you see that if they don't leave the running back in, he's going to end up coming in free. So anytime your opponent is in 5 out, which I would just kind of recommend that if you guys are playing this, you basically will kind of just go Mabel coverage, or, you know, set up all out coverage setups as much as possible. Rush 3, rush 3, rush 3. And then once you get them sending 5 out, that's going to be the moment that you're going to actually send, you know, the inside linebacker plus the outside linebacker on that side, and that's going to get you the quick A gap pressure pretty much every single time. I mean, look how fast that is. It even brought edge pressure alongside with it. Really, really easy stuff right here. Cool thing about this as well is that the tackle, or really the guard, is kind of uncertain of what to do. You see right here, the guard looks like he's going to block the A gap, but the tackle passes off the defensive end to him. So we get the A gap right up the middle from the inside backer. The tackle who passed off that player doesn't have time to get to Ray Lewis. So we end up kind of getting 2 guys free right here when they send everybody out on a route. That's really, really good because you're really not looking at too many places to step up into. With this particular approach, obviously right here, sending 6 against 5, you're bound to get a guy free. But again, with this, you don't have to send 6. You could always just go ahead and send just the 5. Again, if they run it like this, you're going to get the A gap quite easily. He's always going to come in. Now, the other thing that's great about this as well is that if you ever want to, you can send this linebacker and then kind of get down here in this spot. And if they go 5 out against this, a lot of times you're going to get edge pressure or A gap off of the other side as well. So you could use either inside linebacker and know that the other inside linebacker can bring A gap pressure. This is a unique thing because a lot of times with this game, players think that the only A gap from depth that exists is coming through the left A gap. And we're kind of preconditioned to believe that simply because of the dollar meta, the 3-3 meta, the nickel over and the nickel over G A gaps that a lot of players like to run. But this formation right here really gets after the quarterback quite well. Again, keeping in mind the entire time here that with this, you also can kind of move this guy out a couple steps extra. And that's going to be really, really nice because you actually are going to be able to, you know, get him with better width off of the edge here. Right here, I have the running back still blocking on a delay route, which kind of changed how things work here with this. But the other thing to remember with this particular blitz as well is that you can always move this guy out a little bit further. This is going to make it tougher for them to do slide protections. You know, if they wanted to, against that A gap, slide protect and try to pick up that right A gap, there's a chance that that's going to end up leaving the guy free off the edge. And you see right there, that A gap still came in free, even with slide protect to the right there. So again, with this particular blitz, this might be the best A gap blitzing formation in the game, period, because of the ability to bring it from either A gap. But again, with this is a great little defense. If you guys show blitz with this, it does walk down the left safety. Kind of gives you a little bit of a walk down. You can walk down the other guy to kind of protect yourself in the seams. Again, you know, with this particular look, you're going to be able to kind of take away those quick seams out of the, you know, the slot, and that's going to allow you to really amp it up, kind of jump the first thing that moves. See right there, we're able to get to the quarterback really, really fast. This is a extremely fast blitz that is going to come in quite easily. Now, of course, the other thing you can do with this, you could always pinch up your defensive line. Something I like about this as well, if that A gap is getting picked up, a lot of times you could actually pinch the D line and crash it inside, and that's going to turn Warner into a B gap looper. And this one is arguably just as fast, in my opinion. I mean, look at it, almost comes in A gap from the D tackle in addition to the B gap looper. I think that there's a lot of potential with this. Again, I don't necessarily even run this playbook, and I don't often do content here on the channel that isn't something that I personally run, but I've actually been looking at the 4-3 odd a few times and just kind of like keeping an eye on it from the side, and I think that it's got a lot of potential. The way that gap pressures work out of this, the way that the offensive line just kind of pinballs around, it doesn't really understand who to pick up. It's very, very different than the way that we typically see the 3-4 odd behave. You look at some of these crashes as well. Look at how the stand-up linebacker that's pinched in on the right. There's just so much that you're going to notice with this that I really like. I mean, look at that B gap that comes in right here. This is a gap blitzing player's dream type formation. I hope that you guys liked today's video. If you did, make sure you guys give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or complaints, drop those below. If you guys want more, head over to my strategy website, gridirongameplans.gg. Got plenty of content over there on the website for you. Go check it out. Well over 170 vault videos and counting. 9 offensive and defensive game plans. Gridiron Game Plans Discord access for the members that are there, where we have lab sessions every week. Go check it out. Otherwise, I'll see you guys tomorrow with our next video upload. Until then, this is Zan. Get in the lab and good luck.